is Marilyn Shannon. I'm curly top today because usually I try to have my hair straight, but I figured, oh well, it's so humid, what the heck. How are you all doing today? I hope you're all having a great one and you've had a great weekend, and I'm so delighted to have you here visiting us today. It's wonderful to welcome you here, and I know that your time is precious, and I am honored that you have all chosen to spend it with us. And I want to introduce Amnon. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, and you?
I'm just fine.
Yes, good. You're busy over there.
Well, yeah.
That's a lot
How's your
to
week
do.
been so far?
Today has been a full week almost. I drove, what time is it now? Well, here where we are, it's 1 o'clock.
Well, then go on with the show and have a great weekend.
And I was fortunate enough to have a speaking gig this morning, which was, I had to be there at 8 o'clock, so I left my house a little after 6. And so I put in a pretty good day so far, so I'm happy. Feels good. Look, I say this all the time. Our shows are thoughtful. I mean, we don't just bring anybody on here to talk about just anything. What we bring here are people who are doing things, have something to share, a message, are living their truth, living their authenticity, people that we can learn from, that we can, use as examples when we're talking to our best friend or our friend's best friend or a member of our family. We can say, last week I heard this person speak, or last week I heard somebody mention this, and this would be good for you. And so that's the kind of stuff we like to do here, so that we all can get freer and freer, be freer and freer, feel more freedom. And that means all of us. And so I'm really excited today. You hear me say that every week, I'm sure, because every week I'm excited by our shows. But this particular show is really exciting for me because we're going to be talking about water. And I like to swim. And so we're going to be talking about attributes of water and how therapeutic it is. And we're really excited today because we have one of the few therapeutic water chiropractors in the country, in the United States. I have no clue what that means in the world, but I know we're honored to have Michelle here today. And I'm excited because, to me, even when I'm not hurting, the water just does something for me. And sometimes you have a little pain here, a little pain there, and I'm no expert. But as soon as I go in the water, something happens to me. And so I want to share all of this with all of you and with everybody you know. So I am going to welcome Michelle McLafferty here. She's received her medical training in Southern California University of Health Sciences, earning her doctorate of chiropractic degree in 2005, followed by a 2-year residency in radiology diagnostic imaging. A Southern California native and the oldest of 22 grandchildren, she has always been a natural caregiver. Dr. McLafferty graduated from UC Berkeley in 2000. Her honor thesis for her bachelor's degree was on stress and its effects on mind and body. Michelle is one of the few chiropractors in the United States with an expertise in aquatic therapy, helping patients overcome a multitude of injuries both in the pool and out, while reducing physical stress and tension on the body. And of course, she is all about a holistic approach. So with that, I want to welcome Michelle here to the Breaking Free Show today. So welcome, Michelle.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. And I just want to remind everyone that's watching, because you're watching us, you can call in anytime. Our phone number is 919-518-9773. You can chat in our chat window. Just write your name on the bottom and you'll be in the window, and you can chat, meet people that are in there, ask questions, just have a nice old conversation. Or you can also call us on our Skype, our voice, Skype, computers, if that's plural, the number 2K voice. Michelle is coming in on video, but we welcome you on voice. So Michelle, you are considered a therapeutic, water, aquatic chiropractor. Is that right?
Indeed.
So what does that mean? Because I think of chiropractor on a table.
Well, I graduated from chiropractic school and immediately started working with a physical therapist that started the training for me working in the water. I myself have always been a water person. I've always taught water exercise, swimming lessons. I learned how to swim before I could walk. And my dad's Hawaiian, so the water has always been a very natural place for me. And like yourself, it's where I go in order to feel more connected. And it's always been my place where the body just feels more relaxed. So after finishing the degree in chiropractic, I took it upon myself to learn by a string of coincidences, which we know always happen for a reason, a string of coincidences where I happened to meet a very talented water therapist. And there is a certifying body in water therapy, but there are people that are physical therapists working in the pool. I know some speech therapists working in the pool. So it's a small family of practitioners. And there are a couple of other chiropractors that I know who have pools. But as far as I know, not many of them are actually in the water with patients doing the hands-on treatment while patients float. So I do a combination of exercise with my patients. I assess them and see where they're at, and we do physical exercise, physiotherapy. And then the last half an hour of the session, if I have them for an hour, at least half an hour, sometimes longer, is spent floating on the back in the warm pool and assessing wherever there's tension in the body or wherever there's pain. And then very much like a chiropractor would do on a table, it's different. It's not the same type of adjustment, but it's a more subtle adjustment. And it's an individual case-by-case basis, but it allows better range of motion in the body. The water assists in what I do because it's naturally buoyant. So it decompresses the joints. There's less pressure on the joints. And it also helps improve circulation. And there's natural pain reduction in the pool. So people are more relaxed while they're receiving the treatment.
And I want to say that I'm sure this is not just for somebody in pain.
No, it's actually great for very athletic people. They can come into the pool and just stretch or cross-train, and also just for general stress reduction, relaxation. I love to receive water treatments from other therapists that work in the pool because it's just a reminder of how healing that therapy is, and you don't have to have an injury.
Mm-hmm. You know, my only point of reference, I guess I should say, for chiropractic is either somebody who pops your body, and then other people who just kind of do what they call like network, where it's more about the energy. It's not about a popping. So is yours a combination of both, or is it pretty much, tell me what it is.
Well, I don't do many of those traditional adjustments where you hear a popping sound in the pool, although occasionally while I'm bringing a person into their range of motion and doing specific, some of the motions are similar to what you would receive in a chiropractic office, but it's done more slowly and a little bit more gently. So I am familiar with the network, and I like that, and this incorporates some of that deeper somatic release and energetic work. But it is physical manipulation in just a slower and more controlled type of way. So patients sometimes will have a popping sound when we get to the end of the range of motion. So you'll sometimes have a joint that releases, and that popping sound is basically the release of built-up gas that forms within the synovial fluid inside the joint. So you're not really cracking anything, you're just releasing pressure on the joint, and that has an audible sound that happens. So I don't usually force those adjustments into place. I will gently bring the body into the range of motion or bring the joint into a stretched range of motion, and sometimes you will hear an audible sound, not always.
That's extreme. So you're saying that popping is gas?
Hello?
Oh,
Yes, it is.
wow. Okay, so we have a caller. So this is great. So hello.
Hello?
Hey, who is this?
It's Madge.
Oh, hey, honey. How are you?
Good.
Good.
I wanted to put in my 2 cents because Michelle is my trainer.
Good.
Hi, Matt.
So what's your 2 cents?
Huh?
What is your 2 cents?
My 2 cents is that it's the best thing I've ever done. I found Michelle through a networking group of women, and I had some pain in my foot, nerve pain, and I tried everything. I had injections, I've tried acupuncture, and the swimming has been the best relief. And my pain is basically gone, and I've continued, obviously, with the acupuncture, with the swimming for a year and a half. Plus, I use a Beamer, which is an electrical current mat that I sleep on that Michelle can talk a little bit about, too. But the swimming is just the most relaxing, the most wonderful. I live in Southern California, so we swim outside all year round by the ocean, and sometimes we do go in the ocean. And we were going into the ocean, and then there was the big shark sighting right by where we swim, so we took a break.
So that's interesting. So you can go either in the pool or the ocean, and there's, I
Yes.
guess the therapy is different depending on whether you're in the ocean or the pool.
Well, in the pool, we do actually, for an hour, we do real exercise. Okay, we have a whole routine that we do. It's like, it would be the equivalent of like jumping jacks and stretching and a lot of treading. I probably tread for 40 minutes of the hour in some fashion.
Madge is great.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I wanted it when you said treading. So when you said exercise, so you're doing this to feel better, but it's also a good physical. I mean, I know that no matter what I do in the pool, I mean, I can be standing there and somebody happens to, come in and I'm not doing laps, but no matter what I'll do, it's exercise. With the pool is like everything I can do there. I can play, do all kinds of things.
Right. I don't actually do any lap swimming with Michelle at all. We do all cardio. And why don't you explain, Michelle? We use equipment, and why don't you explain?
Madge, you do so well in the water. You have a lot of endurance, and it's a great physical workout. In fact, you can burn 400 to 700 calories an hour in the water, and a lot of people come in, like, you're already in good physical shape, but some people come in with foot problems or knee problems or hips, and they just need to move. They need the freeing aspect of the pool in order to move without pain. So depending on each person, and for you, it's been so much fun to be able to do the exercises, and you're an athlete. I would consider you an athlete, so you can really hold up and do.
Thanks. I don't think anyone's ever called me an athlete.
Your head's above the water the whole time, so you're not submerged underneath the water. And you have to use the abdominal muscles a lot more when you're treading water and when you're doing exercises in that fashion, as opposed to swimming where it's really using the shoulders and the upper body. When you're doing water aerobics and water cross training, it uses the arms, the legs, and a lot of the abdominal muscles and core. So I really think it's as good a workout, if not better, than swimming.
Right. Wow. Also talk about a little bit about the equipment that you use, I use.
Yeah. So we have water resistance paddles that actually enhance resistance. Sometimes you see swimmers wear the webbed gloves. It would be equivalent to that, but with a little bit more upper body resistance that you actually hold in your hands. And then there are the water noodles. You see kids playing in the pool with the noodles. We actually use those for some Pilates type motions with breath work to work on the core. And just a standard kickboard, you can use a noodle kind of like also, or a kickboard to do leg exercises.
We also use the noodle for balance, which is so important because my mom started losing her balance like in her 60s, early 70s. And I decided that was not going to happen to me. And so I balance a lot on the noodles in the water, too.
So that's all. That's a lot of I mean, I'm listening to this because I do a noodle. Oh, my gosh. I'll do anything. Like sometimes if I can't get my hands on a noodle and there's a big ball in the water, I'll use a ball. and I'll just kick it, across the pool several times
Right.
or whatever.
We do a lot of. It would be like the equivalent of cross country skiing in the water, like alternate leg and hand, with these little things on your hands, that you hold on to like paddles with resistance. So you're actually doing. How would you explain it, Michelle? It's like jumping jack, but not. It's like cross country skiing.
Yeah, it's
Right.
very similar to a cross-country ski or scissor motion. That's one of the best motions. You can bicycle in the water, like a upright bicycle. You can just march in the deep water. And the cross-country ski is really nice because it's using the opposite arm and legs. So it really puts a lot of effort on the core, and it's very similar to walking. So in a person that actually has difficulty
and
walking.
then after an hour of that, I take an hour and a half. So after an hour of that, we do this Watsu, which is what she was talking about before, where she floats me and and stretches me and massages my parts that are, I don't have a lot of parts that hurt, but just anything, and my feet. And then we go and we finish off for about, 5 minutes or so in a jacuzzi. and she'll massage my neck and my shoulders and my feet.
That's
and
great.
So anyway, I just
and you
wanted
do
to
that.
call
You do that
Yeah.
how many times a week?
3 times a week.
3 times. Okay, well, hold on. I want to ask one question. Did you say that doing these types of exercise are even more of a workout than actually swimming laps? Michelle?
In my opinion, I mean, swimming laps is a hard workout, and anything you do regularly, what I notice is the body gets used to the exercise it does regularly. So I used to be a lap swimmer in high school and college, and now I've done water exercise predominantly with myself and also with other people. So when I try to swim, it actually feels like a much harder workout. But statistics actually show you can burn the same calories doing water exercise as standard swimming. They use different muscle groups. Standard swimming uses, typically it's more heavy on the arms and the shoulders. So as opposed to water exercise where it uses a lot more leg, the cross-country skiing and the bicycling that we're doing, that Madge does in the deep end, you can use the arms, but you don't have to be dependent on just using the shoulders. You're actually using more of the core, which I find is more functional for the activities that we do on day-to-day life,
Right.
like walking. And,
Well,
and
I swam laps for years at the Y, okay, in my 40s. And then I just gave up swimming basically and walked, but I always loved the water. So after walking where I couldn't walk because of my foot for probably close to 2 years while I was trying every available means not to have surgery on my foot, I met Michelle, and like I said, we've been doing this now, it'll be, it's about a year and a half, year and 8 months, and I would not go back to anything else but this. I don't walk anymore. I mean, I walk, obviously, but I don't, for exercise, I do this, and I love it. I mean, I come out of that pool, and I just feel like my whole day, my adrenaline is up, my endorphins are up, and I feel like I've gotten a really good workout, and I've noticed it mostly because I just can tread water so long.
Right.
And I went to visit a friend, and we got into a pool, and I was showing him all my exercises, and he couldn't tread for about 3 minutes. And he said, I can't believe you can tread for 40 minutes. And I was just treading while I was talking to him and showing him all the exercises. And I didn't realize until it was really pointed out to me by my friend, like what great shape I am in that way.
Right. And I know for myself, I have more staying power in the pool than I do in 90-degree weather. Even though I am walking and I am wearing a Fitbit, I do have more staying power in the pool. I can do more in the pool than I can on the land. And
I definitely, because we do where I go up on a step and then I come down and then I balance on the step. What do you call that, Michelle?
Squats. So you can actually simulate regular squats, make it harder. When you're in the deep water, that's the easiest on the body because you're absolutely weightless in the deep water. But when I really want to challenge people, and with someone I've been working for a long time with, like Madge, who's is in very good shape now at this point, we sometimes make it more challenging by going onto the stairway of the pool where it's much more shallow, where you're almost halfway out of the water. So you can practice doing squats, which are great exercise, and you still have the support of the pool, and if you were to fall back, you would just fall into the pool. but squats are great for strengthening the legs, the glutes, and for balance and stability.
So you go up and down this. You go.
Well, no, I actually jump onto. Well, yeah. What do we do, Michelle? I like jump onto the step and then jump off, and then or put a foot up and then another foot up and then down, up, down, like you're going off a little stool.
Yes.
Okay, but like I do it on the steps, and it was hard in the beginning. It's hard, but the good thing is none of this puts pressure on my foot, which was, I mean, for like literally a year was killing me. Right. I mean, a combination of this Beamer acupuncture, which I still do, and the swimming, but I would say 90% of it is the swimming. Mm-hmm. Okay, because it almost stopped immediately when I was exercising in the pool. I mean, my foot felt fabulous, and when I came out in the beginning, it did still hurt a little bit, but eventually, I don't know, something clicked and it just stopped hurting.
So, Michelle, so I know.
I'm going to get off. I'm going to get off now and just listen to the rest of the conversation.
Thanks. And
see you later, Michelle. Actually,
later in the pool.
You know, it's great. Thanks, Madge, for calling in. And anybody who has some experience in the water, anybody, whether it's with Michelle or on your own, water is freeing. You know, I have a 90-some-odd-year-old uncle, and when he couldn't do anything else, couldn't get out of a wheelchair, they would carry him into the pool, because in the pool he could walk. Even if his legs couldn't carry him, he could walk. So there's nothing we can't do in the pool. So if anybody has any experience, please, share it. And I love this idea of doing squats, because I had arthritis as a child, and my knees don't feel great all the time. And doing squats on, one after the other on land, it's a little sticky sometimes. So the idea of, it's so creative being in the water. I mean, you come up with all kinds of ways of playing. So the thought of being able to I never thought about this. I've thought about the skiing thing and the, squishing the thighs together and all that stuff. But the thought of doing squats in the water is kind of fun to me.
Yeah, it's great. It's really nice, especially like you said, with the older population, people in their 80s and their 90s, they really need this. The minute they stop moving is when they lose that ability to move. And even they can do squats in the pool, and you can make the walking actually more challenging by adding a resistance cable. You can connect that to a belt behind their waist, and you can do resisted gait training in the water as well, and so they're actually pulling against a little bit of resistance. We do that a lot for people that have overcome a stroke or really need to practice the walking after surgery or after anything that weakens the body or throws the balance off.
So like Chris just mentioned, you're a chiropractor, and you do, but you're a trainer. I mean, you're like a physical trainer.
Well, yeah, throughout the 3.5 years of chiropractic school, we learn physiotherapy, physical therapy, and we actually take a board exam in physiotherapy. So most chiropractors, we're able to incorporate everything that a physical therapist or trainer would incorporate. But I've taken extra training in addition to what we learn in school in order to have a more expertise. And a lot of chiropractors also get certified as a trainer or do training, but we do also just learn much of that in school, because you can't just adjust a joint and expect that it's going to last forever. You have to also retrain a person's physiology. You have to get them strong and strengthen the areas that need to have that need work, and you need to stretch the areas that are too tight. So you can accomplish that in a land office, or what I do and what I love is to do that in the pool.
Fascinating. I also use flipper. I use fins.
Yeah.
So it's fun to swim with them, but it's also fun to try to walk with them.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
You are creative.
Yeah, I am creative. And then sometimes I swim, and I swim with those web gloves, but I also swim with those paddles. And it's fun sometimes. Go ahead.
You can use those paddles and do some arm exercises, like out and in with your arms. Standing up, you can any exercise you can do on the land can be done in the water.
Yeah.
So anything that you can possibly think of, bicep curls, all those things can be done while you're in the water.
And it's great. Those are the kinds of, listen, those are the kinds of things I do when I'm talking. When I get in the pool and other people are there, because, I like to go in, I have permission to go into the pool at my complex in this time of year between 6 and 8 in the morning. Which I try to do it, but we've had a lot of rain, so the water's cold, and I don't do well in cold water, and I do worse in getting out in cold water. So I have to wait till it's warmer. And so, but when I go in later in the day, I run the risk of other people being in the pool, kids. Yeah. And we have a good lap pool, but, so if I can't swim, which now I always love playing, so I will do just what you said. I'll take the paddles, and if I'm standing there, I'm squishing I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, anything I could do. And then sometimes I'll swim with just my hands and let my fins kind of drag in the pool to give me the resistance. And then sometimes I just kick and let my arm. Yeah, I'll do all kinds of things, but it's fun, and I don't have to. And I get out feeling great. And for some reason, when I get out and I look myself in the mirror, I know it doesn't last all the time, but it's getting better. But I have more indentations in my arm.
Yay!
Yay for indentations! I mean, it's great. So I know that people go, and it's therapeutic. And I remember as a little girl, when I suffered from rheumatoid arthritis. I can remember I was 7 years old. I was 10 months old when I first had it, and 7 years old when I got it later. And I can remember my parents taking me to a special hospital in New York that they wanted me to stay there and do all kinds of water exercises. That was the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and I remember it was scary to me because it meant I had to be away from home, which they did not do. But and I'm 60, so 53 years ago, that was what was good for, people like me. So, so you also do massage in the pool.
I do. I did massage during chiropractic school, and it's always come intuitively as well. And, most chiropractors and physical therapists do a lot of massage, and you have different names. Active release, myofascial release, proprioceptive, re-education. But what it really is just finding the tense spots in the muscles and releasing them. So whether you call it massage or whether you call it myofascial release, in Eastern meridian work, what Watsu is floating in the water, you're doing acupressure massage. So you're finding the trigger points that correlate with the meridians in the body, and you're releasing those just by a light pressure, hands-on, finding which typically they manifest as the knots, those areas of tension that you feel as knots that are very common in the shoulders and the hips and certain areas. So that just is, a natural way of release. And what Watsu is a floating shiatsu massage. So it's combining that Eastern meridian acupressure shiatsu type of massage while you're floating on your back.
What about okay, so when you don't work right on their back in other words, how do they go face down?
No, they're face up. So you're face up the whole time. Your head and your neck are out of the water, and there's actually a flotation pillow that you put behind your head. So your head's actually floating on a buoyant type of pillow that I float in the pool. And then there's also a belt that you can put around the waist, one of those buoyancy belts that keeps the rest of the body afloat. And then you're supported in the therapist's arms the whole time. So I'm actually, as a practitioner, I'm supporting the patient while they're floating. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I'll remove the pillow from their head and just put my hand back there. And so as I'm working, my hands are underneath the body and they're floating on their back. And that's the way that it's very womb-like in a way.
Yeah,
and
you're cradling. It's like you're cradling
Yeah, I have had some interesting emotional experiences
I
that
wanted to
happen.
ask you that. Yeah, what talk about that?
Yeah, it's well, there's a few things that come into play. We use a warmer water for that type of work. So typically it should be close to body temperature, 95-degree pool or so. And the ears, if a person's comfortable, I can have them wear earplugs. Otherwise, we let the ears slightly submerge. And there's this swooshing sound that sort of happens like a white noise. And it really activates the old brain and those ancient memories that we all have of being in the womb. So when you're floating on your back, you're being cradled by the practitioner, especially a very strong person who holds tightly to their pain, or a very masculine person that's not used to being in that type of position. When they're able to surrender, and I can feel when it happens, I can feel when their body actually relaxes. Some people it happens sooner, some people never fully relax. But when a person's able to just surrender to that water and trust that I've got them. And
Oh, Michelle, can you hear? I don't know. We just lost Michelle. Okay. Well, you just lost your sound. So you said when I cradle them, and then go ahead. What was that next piece?
yeah, they have, it's not uncommon for a person to have an emotional type of release as they surrender to the feeling of being in the water and allow me to just guide them through. They can let go. And I love the title of your show is the Breaking Free Show, and that's really what happens as those tense areas in the body loosen and they can surrender to floating. The body naturally starts to heal itself, and a huge component of healing, I see 90% of the people have chronic pain that I end up seeing. I mean, that might be a high percentage, but a very high percentage of people that end up in the pool always have some kind of chronic pain. It's great for arthritis. It's great for fibromyalgia. But when you have chronic pain, you hold to it rather tightly. And when you can release the emotional connection to the pain, the body naturally starts to heal itself. And it's been shown that the Watsu work assists in that release.
Okay. Whew, that was a good segment right there. Because I have all kinds of things that I was thinking about. So the cradling is huge, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously, the emotional attachment of releasing that to your pain, because a lot of times people are so accustomed to their pain that they become their pain, and releasing that pain. You know, and if somebody's in the water, Michelle, how many times? I mean, Madge said 2 to 3. She's in 3 times. Is that about the average?
Usually I see people more like 2 times a week.
Okay.
Sometimes if somebody really is in a lot of pain, it's difficult for them to get out. So even if I see a person 1 time a week, there's still benefits. But ideally, when you're doing something, and if a person had an injury, you want to be more proactive, especially in the beginning as the body heals, 2 to 3 times a week for the best results.
So, and you find that, and there's some questions on the chat that I want to address, but you find that somebody who has fibromyalgia or arthritis or any other type of ailment like that they are able to sustain the release, the emotional release?
Quite often, quite often. And we have, I work with a patient who had, like yourself, she had arthritis as a child, rheumatoid arthritis as a child, and she runs a support group at UCLA. She herself was in water therapy as a child. That sounds similar to you, and I believe hers was at UCLA. And she comes into the pool where I work a couple of times per week, and she actually she runs a great support network, and they have meetings regularly, and we've spoken once in a while at their meetings just to let other people in her community know. Juvenile rheumatoid arthritis is a subset of traditional rheumatoid arthritis, but any inflammatory condition, which fibromyalgia falls under that same category, it can be rather stressful to a person's emotions and body. So if you come into the water and the water itself diminishes their pain level, and then they're able to just allow their body to relax further by floating and surrendering and letting go of some of that held up tension, Sometimes they'll have a couple days of relief. If a very acute condition, maybe they'll just have a few hours of relief. Some people will have a week of relief, and then they come back the next week. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on the person.
And I bet, your approach in the water, your communicative approach is going to be different, I think, on some level than maybe on the land.
It is very, very different. It's more engaging. You're submerged in the pool with a person. And there actually is a chiropractor up in Canada who's done a little bit of research that also works in the water. It's the only other chiropractor I've known that I've been able to find who does some types of adjustments in the water up in Calgary. And he did a research article, and he showed that since water is the most resonant medium, dolphins can communicate for miles underneath the water because the sound travels so far. And the same thing is with touch. When you give an adjustment or even just a gentle light massage in the water, it's received by the body with more sensitivity than when you're doing that on land. So that's why I do lighter type of work in the water, and it's picked up in a different way. Also, just because I'm submerged in the pool with them, there's a higher transference of energy, and people feel that. So it's subtle, but it's definitely there.
It's interesting. This might be different, but I really can visualize what you're saying, because I know sometimes when I'm in the pool and something touches me, I get more of a shocking, like a feeling, like if a ball rolls over and touches me on the shoulder, I feel it from my head down to my toes. It is not the same thing when I'm walking and a ball hits me.
Right. Your nerve endings are much more receptive.
Yes. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So we have a question. Suziani is asking, could you tell us what we can do at home in the pool? In our tub, excuse me. Is there certain things you can do in the tub at pool that can mirror some of what you do in a pool?
Definitely. In terms of exercises, you can go online. I actually did a video. eHow has a website where you can learn how to. So there's a few things that I have on eHow and other people have online that are videos how to do in terms of the exercises. But in the bathtub, if you have access to a regular pool and you want to do the more relaxation type of exercise or the relaxation breathing work, when you breathe underneath the water, just breath and sound, your body actually has to work a little bit harder to breathe in the pool because of the water pressure on the body. So even while you're submerged in the bathtub, one of the most important things for all of us in healing is being more conscious of our breath. So if you're sitting in the bathtub and you're soaking, that's a wonderful therapeutic thing to do. I would incorporate breath work. So just allowing your body to breathing through your nose and allowing the stomach to expand with air. Oftentimes we breathe shallow into your chest, but you can actually put your hands over your stomach while you're floating on your back and feel your stomach expand as you inhale. And then you can exhale, hold it in for a few seconds, and then exhale fully. And a lot of times I'll have people make a noise, like a something audible as they exhale, and that activates the diaphragm, and it helps with lymphatic drainage. Breathing is incredibly therapeutic, and that's a very easy way to incorporate this relaxation while you're floating in the water. But of course, in terms of therapy, if a person has achy hands, like with arthritis, you can just waft them through the water, doing things in the bathtub, even in very shallow water. You can just do stretches. You can do your own stretches. You can actually do your own self-massage. And sometimes I'll have people bring a lacrosse ball in the water, and they can do self-massage by bringing that ball. A lacrosse ball is a little bit smaller than a tennis ball. Tennis ball would also work, but I like the lacrosse because it has more firmness. And you can do self-massage, and you'll find in the warm water the muscles gently relax, and it's easier to get into those tight spots in any form of massage while you're floating.
Very interesting. There's something creative about water, and I think there is, and there's something natural about being in the water, that there are things that you're talking about that I know people are listening and saying, oh yeah, I already do something like that. There's an instinct in the water to do certain things, to move in a certain way. Even in the sound, I mean, if you think about it, there's obviously if you're drumming, you can feel a vibration. You can feel an alignment to the drum sound. And it's the same thing in the water. Some things you just do naturally. I want to pay attention to something that Anne wrote. Anne said, my mother had rheumatoid arthritis from 1951 till she passed away in 1983. She was told to swim to stay active, which she did, and it kept her mobile. I have inflammatory arthritis and love swimming. It is also good stress reliever. She went swimming the day after her husband died. It was the only thing she wanted to do.
Oh, wow, that's really beautiful.
Why, Michelle, why do you think she did that?
It's such a, I always go back to that nurturing, womb-like, supportive feeling that you get while you're submerged in the water. And that's such a touching story. Like you said, it's something that comes natural, and I think it's innate. When we're submerged in the pool, we feel safe. Even if a person's not a swimmer, you feel supported by the water. And it's very freeing. It's a place that if you are a swimmer, in this case, it sounds like she was swimming, and so your ears are submerged, and you're away from the rest of the world. It's a way to sort of escape the everyday sounds and experiences that we have in the world, and it's the only place where you're completely weightless. So, we can't fly, as the body, when you're handling death and you're losing someone very close to you, their spirit's being released, and when you're floating or swimming in the water, it's a very, it's almost like you're levitating yourself. You're also floating. It's very, what I could imagine, the closest that we'll ever feel to flying. And that in itself is nurturing, emotionally nurturing. Also, it's the one place where you don't have phones. You can bring radios in now, but you don't typically hear any noise. And so it's a sense of solitude, and that's not too easy to come by in the active world that we live in.
You have to, I'm sitting here and I'm sorry, I have my eyes closed almost.
Yeah.
And I'm visualizing myself when I'm swimming, and I'm feeling a lot of what you're describing. The freedom, there's no sound. I can do anything I want. Nobody, it's just me. And I feel the speed, or I can feel a calmness. So I really do recommend to anybody, you don't have to be in pain, just to dump yourself in water. I mean, just like the tub even. I mean, my mother has been going into a bathtub for years, and I'm just lying there. There's something so magnificent and such a blessing about being in water. And I would recommend you just take those first steps. You don't have to, people say some people don't like water, but I really think if people gave it a try, even just a little bit, just sitting on the edge of the pool and stuff, just start. I think it would be remarkable. Amnon has a question. Is it true that just being in the water, shallow end, and walking around is a lot of exercise because of the pressure of the water on your body?
It is a good workout, and you can make it harder by walking faster. But even if you're walking slow, you have 360-degree resistance. So it's natural resistance that the water brings. And you're able to burn similar calories as if you were walking around on the land. But it's much less pressure on the knees and the hips.
Right, so, and you don't sweat as much. That's always the thing that I like.
Yeah, although I do remind people, have some water next to the side of the pool if you're doing that kind of exercise, because when you're submerged, you naturally don't feel as thirsty, but your body still needs to have water. And you do sometimes the body will still sweat, but we just don't know that it's happening because we're submerged.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good points. Chris is asking, how much is the womb-like feeling have to do with being close in physical skin-to-skin contact with another person?
How does that play in?
Yeah.
I do, and oftentimes, I'm working in an environment that's typically I'm dealing with specific condition or injury, but in a very spa, like here in California, we have Santa Barbara and Ojai, and there's a few places that are just exclusively for spa relaxation Watsu. And you'll always sign a release before you have a therapy session. And I usually have people sign a release too, to make sure that they're okay being in close contact. And a lot of times I'll wear a wetsuit top or something in the pool. But you are in physical proximity very closely with the practitioner, so you have to make sure a person is okay with that they can feel comfortable. And like I said, for somebody, especially somebody that's male or female, that's holding tight to the masculine side of their personality, it can be, it's not always intuitive for them to sort of surrender that and let it go and let somebody else hold them. In my case, a female practitioner, and while I'm holding them, I am kind of taking on a more masculine role at that time, guiding them through the water, so they have to go into a more receptive and feminine state. And in terms of the womb-like experience, I notice no matter what a person's age, when they enter the pool, one thing that happens is they get a little smile. They sort of feel more childlike. And when you're floating on your back and the practitioner is holding you, your arms and your legs kind of naturally will waft and swoosh through the pool. And so it kind of encourages this natural, deep, playful nature that we all had as kids. And that kind of comes back while you're floating, and you can just let your arms hang. And a lot of times people will come up and they'll feel more energy. I think some of that energy is just from harnessing this innate playfulness that we're all born with.
It's funny. Last week I was in the pool and I was swimming, and there was this young man from my neighborhood who I don't know. He came in, and I'm guessing he was like in his early 30s, and he had a smile. He was swimming laps. He had a smile from ear to ear, and I was resting at the end of the pool, and he stopped and he said, I used to swim all the time, and I haven't swam in years, and I am having so much fun. And he was like, he could not stop laughing. It was so cool, to watch this man, and I was so interested, like, what made you stop? What makes people stop? I get, life and stuff, but you love something so much. Michelle, I know that we're going to be out of time before I know it, and I wanted to ask you, and make a statement. So this must be a lot easier on your body as a practitioner than it is on somebody who does massage on land.
Most definitely.
Right?
It's a miracle. It's really great. And I do work with some physical therapists in the water as well. And one of them, sorry about that.
That's all right. This is real TV.
One of the physical therapists is actually a massage therapist too, and I've done massage myself. And it's very fatiguing on the body to work in a standard clinical environment. It's very hard, and you end up feeling very exhausted at the end of the day. As opposed to being in the pool, our patients are all weightless, and so we're lifting people no matter who they are, and it's very much less effort than when you're working in a traditional clinic. And when I used to work in a traditional clinical environment, we would feel you'd be sweating, you'd be tired, you'd be bending forward, and that just doesn't happen when you're in the water.
Mm-hmm. Right. So just tell us, what was the, I guess for you now, what is the most incredible experience that you have had or are having, and you might not be able to tell us this because maybe it's private, but with a patient, what is the most incredible experience that you've ever had or are having?
Well, I saw somebody who could only be brought into the pool by a Hoyer lift, which is one of those mechanical lifts. I've actually seen two people that have had this experience just in the last couple of years of having a severe, one of them had an injury or an infection on his spinal canal that made him basically unable to walk and in the hospital for a month. And the other person had Guillain-Barré syndrome. And that's where you wake up and you just can't move, and it attacks the body, especially the legs and the lower body. And in both cases, after just a month or so, I believe the first person was coming in closer to a year, and there's actually been 3 people that this is very similar. The third person was pronounced dead. He had a brain aneurysm. So when you're told you can't walk again, it's a very scary feeling. And these 3 cases that come to mind are all very similar. They're all older men that were unable to walk, all had each spent a number of months in the hospital. And in one case, one was pronounced dead. In each 3 cases, they've been in the water. They all continue to come into the water. And one of them is just now doing his independent swimming, and he is walking. All 3 people are walking. 2 of them are back to work now. And seeing somebody who is told they'll never walk again and comes in and works in the pool, and they get the relaxation and the emotional release, and they also get the confidence of knowing that they can walk in the water, building up the muscle strength, and then seeing them for the first time when they're not able to take that Hoyer lift and they can actually get up the pool steps themselves or get to a walker or get to their cane. That's just an indescribable experience, and it's a really big honor to be a part of that.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. So we only have a few minutes left, but I do have one question. So what do you use on your skin? I know that...
Well, there are some creams that you can buy online or you can buy at sporting goods shops that protect your skin before you go into the pool. It's similar to Aquaphor, but it's just a thick kind of cream that you can put on your skin. You can just use Vaseline. I just used a little bit of that. Or I had an Ayurvedic practitioner that recommended almond oil. Put a little almond oil on. And the lifeguards and the pool owners usually don't want people to come into the pool with a lot of oils on their skin.
I can imagine.
Yeah, it protects your skin. It really does. And the same thing for the hair. You can put some leave-in conditioner or oils in your hair, and that'll prevent the chlorine from saturating it.
Perfect. So I know you're in California. People can be listening to us from all over the world. How do they find you, or how do they find a practitioner? Now, some people could go to California and seek you out, which is great. Yeah. How would they find you, and then how would they find a network of people like you? I know that there aren't that many.
Well, my website is aquachiro.com. That's AQUACHIRO.com, and my email is aquachiro, AQUA @gmail, AQUACHIRO @gmail, and that's on the website as well, and my contact information is all on there. In terms of finding a practitioner, there's a group called the Aquatic Therapy and Rehab Institute. It's ATRI, and if you Google ATRI, Aquatic Therapy and Rehab Institute, you'll be able to find therapists in every community in the state. Most of them are physical therapists, but a lot of them are doing similar type of work. They might not be doing the floating massage or chiropractic work, but they are doing similar types of work, and you can find them that way. Or you can Google WATSU, WATSU, WATSU practitioners, and they also have a certifying group of practitioners, and there's list by list in each state in order to find a good therapist in your area.
I
highly recommend it, or just join the YMCA.
Yeah, just get in the water. It's interesting because when I was doing a little research prior to you coming on, I started looking at pictures of Wazoo. You call it What do you call it?
Watsu.
And it was beautiful. I posted some beautiful pictures. It was so glorious looking and dancing, and it was just lovely. So it was wonderful. Anyway, Anne is saying that there are washes that remove chlorine from your face, your hair, your body, and she uses it all the time. She is an Arbonne. I believe it's Anne McKenzie, who I know very well. She sells Arbonne. So, so she has product. If anybody's interested, please let me know. You can write me at Marilyn above my head at reenchantplanetearth.com, and I will connect you with Anne as well. And Michelle, this has just been lovely. I thank you so much for opening up my eyes more, and everybody else's out here, to the possibilities of water and, more freeing. I mean, because anything that we can do, I'm a proponent of that. Anything that we can do to connect ourselves more with feeling better, with feeling greater, with feeling, period, with releasing, and to know that there are such beautiful people out in the world doing things like Michelle, that's, it's non-threatening, and there's opportunities and options for us all to have in ways that we might not have thought of before. Let me see. Chris is saying thank you to everyone. She's just really happy you all were here, and Anne is saying water is the best. And it really is. So, Michelle, in closing, what would you like to leave with us?
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to address this as a topic in your show. With the topic of breaking free and water therapy and water work are completely synonymous, and the water's just been a lifesaver for me in my own health, feeling pain-free every day. And also I've seen so many people that once they discover the water, it's like the fountain of youth. And Europeans have been doing it for centuries. It's ancient Rome. It goes back as far as the ancient Roman baths. It's innate into our psyche and our culture as humans. So if you're a water person, yay. If you're a little bit scared to get in the water or hesitant, I really say just try it. Even if you're just putting your feet in, even if you're just taking a bath, it's a very, very natural and soothing thing, and I guarantee you'll have a great experience.
Yeah, that was beautiful. So thank you very much for being here, and I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and I'd love to hear your stories. Come back and share, what happened, how it felt, what you noticed, any of those things, and let's compare notes. Let's compare your body and my body in a good way. Let's compare what we're learning. Amna's laughing at me, but it's true, because I know that, I used to have to go down the stairs sideways, taking my right foot first, and then my left foot would come because my left foot would hurt more than my right foot. And when I can go down straight and I'm not hurting, it's a good day. It's a good day. So thank God. So with that, I want to thank you all for being here. Come back next week and join us again for another wonderful Breaking Free show. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm going swimming this afternoon because it's not raining. Yay. Michelle, mwah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And we'll be in touch. And Madge, thank you for introducing us to Michelle. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with Amnon Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Reawaken Your Brilliance with Julie Seibert, and if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. That VidBlasterGuy.com, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.